Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Student Organization, Interest Clubs, and Student Support Programs webinar series. For the discussion today, the topic will be on Homeroom for Distance Education. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. He is a consultant and evaluator for K-12 Philippine Basic Education, the curriculum and academic consultant of Sisters of Mary. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Brother Roderick M. Aguirre.
Good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon, viewers. And this is my afternoon session, and this is my last session for this week on providing our students with intervention programs. The light is giving me so much of the light in my window is giving me so much of my oily face, but it's okay. We're not here to comment about my oily face, but to listen to the continuation of student support program, how we can help our students with their individual and specific needs while they're learning at home. And just this morning, I talked about home-based activities that we can come up with and orient our parents with in order to help our students improve their communication skills. The reason being is that our students are not with us in the environment of our schools where we could, supervise uh, lots of interaction among students within the class or across grade levels to improve their communication skills. And also, yesterday I talked about how we can use online platforms on continuing and migrating our student interest clubs from face-to-face interaction and within the structure of the school towards online platforms. And this afternoon, we'll be talking about the role of the teacher, not just the teacher per se, but also all other teachers with functions that support the total development of our learners within the perspective of guidance and counseling and within the responsibility of the management of the school's guidance and counselor. I know in the private schools they do hire school guidance counselors. I'm not really sure with the public schools, but although on paper we're supposed to have guidance counselors to help our teachers come up with homeroom programs and activities that will help identify the specific needs of our learners. And one of the many challenges with this pandemic is on how we can continue on with our homeroom activities. Well, I guess homeroom activities on top of the academic preparations and distance education modules that we're preparing for our students. I know that we're already struggling so much, but it is also one of the things that we need to look into the support programs of the school in order to help our students and parents. I think one of the bulk responsibilities will be transferred mostly to the students and to the parents, and it's very important for the guidance and counseling office to beef up its program via the involvement of the teacher advisors. And with that, we're going to talk about simple ways. We did a simple way of doing things. We did not try to make the homeroom program so complicated. We just made it so simple in a point that um, it's easy to monitor some of the students' progress. So before I proceed to talking a lot in this afternoon, I should have taken Lola Remedios. Now that I started talking so much, well, again, I can feel the numbness in my throat again. Just don't worry. After this, I will have to go to sleep, go straight to sleep, and not think of anything else, and give my body time to recuperate. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation with you. By the way, on that note, those who'd like to have a copy of my handout format of the PowerPoint, do not hesitate to request from my mediators here at Vibal so that you can, go over every now and then these sessions with me. And it will also be replayed every now and then via the YouTube channel of Vibal Group Incorporated and via Facebook Live. So do not be afraid to review it every now and then. If you have other topics you would like to for us to consider in the future, please do not hesitate to key in on your comments, key in your comments on the comments box below. All right, so our topic for this afternoon is homeroom for distance education. There's not much we can do about a thorough program for the homeroom distance education, but we can do for the homeroom distance education is to support the personality development of our learners. At the moment, we cannot make it as complicated as we used to during the regular school year, where we have at least one session, 1 hour session a week with our students. Nonetheless, we still have to retain the 1 hour session a week for our students' homeroom, and it does not have to be academic, but it should also be part of the curriculum. Okay, we've already started talking, and yet I have not shared with you my. Okay, there you go. So our flow for this afternoon is we have keep on touching my face, and I kept kept on reminding and telling myself that I have to refrain from touching myself as per advised by WHO. And of course our DOH. We're supposed not to touch our face, just in case. All right, number one, we'll still go through identifying busting myths about the role of advisor in providing holistic guidance for our students. And eventually, by October, I'll be changing my way of delivering my talks to you out there. So I'm gonna make it more interactive. I'm thinking at the very beginning of it, I'll be giving a little bit of game, if not a game, like a quiz for you to take on, so that at least you will have more of a self-awareness assessment kind of thing. So I'm just thinking about that. I'm telling you now so that I will be forced to actually do it. Although it would take a lot of responsibility on my part to do research, but if it would make you more interested to listen to me and keep on watching my webinars, I'll more than happy to do it. And we'll proceed to, of course, a published article, a short article about the importance of homeroom guidance program to support the needs of our learners. And we're going to discuss a little, and we'll use that as our as our springboard for our discussion. And my discussion, again, as usual, would be the flow would be question answers. It would be easier for us uh, uh, to understand our topic for this afternoon, and and it would be more explicit because from the question we go directly to the answer. Although I would like to apologize in advance that one of the many limitations of doing online webinars, that's why it's called online webinars, that's why it's called webinar, because online, of doing webinars, is that um, I cannot call anyone from you out there, people, and to ask you to share some of your experiences. So that's why I'll be relying on my personal experience, and that will be the things that I'll be sharing to you. And unless, of course, we have platform for you to share your own experiences. Hopefully, we can have that platform in the future where when I ask for your experiences, you can just buzz in and get in, or we identify viewers who would like to personally interact with me. That would be nice. Like my mediators could choose someone from the audience that I could interact with. That would be great. Just thinking about it. And then of course I'll be entertaining questions after the discussion, and then I'll be posting my few challenges for you teachers out there, how we can go about the the continuance of homeroom guidance program to our students during the pandemic. Let's begin with busting, identifying and busting myths about the role of the class advisor providing holistic guidance to our students. Just identified again, as usual, three most common myths and misconceptions about our teacher's role. Let's start with statement number one. A lot of people believe that teachers get paid for the time they're working, like um, taking care of the individual needs of our students, monitoring the students outside the class, even answering some of the individual queries. Sorry, I think I'm going down with a flu. Sorry, monitoring our students at home or their assignments, or perhaps with this onset of the online teaching, some of our students will be texting us or messaging us, and of course entertaining and answering them, sometimes more than hours that we're supposed to be devoting for our work, and it's even more than the required hours for teaching. We are not paid for that. Honestly, teachers are the most underrated, underpaid of all professions in the world. If we could, if you could look at the bulk of the responsibility of the teachers, their our responsibility, I cannot say theirs, but our responsibilities never stop. It's always in and out the classroom, in and out the learning situation. Even if we are like doing online, the bulk of preparation is huge, that it does not compensate for whatever monetary compensation provided by for us. And I think a lot of teachers are doing this for out of love and in their commitment and their hope for the betterment of and the progress of their students. And therefore, it is a myth when we say teachers get paid for the time they're they're working. They work more than what they're getting paid or what they're being paid for. And therefore, I think that the society must, especially right now with the onset of distance education, it will take its toll on the teachers. And sometimes a lot of people in the committee for, forget that teachers are also individuals and also parents and also um, members of different societal institutions, that we forget that they have other responsibilities. And when we treat them as, and when you treat us people, it's as if that we owe you a lot. But in the other, it's in the better sense of it, you all everything, all what's happening in society, the good and the bad things happening in society could be mostly attributed to the contribution and dedication of teachers like us. And I hope that in the future our society will change its perspective towards teachers and people out there. I do believe that change is coming. If a change is coming, and if we could just vote the politicians who are into education, because there's no other way to change and to disrupt the cycle of ignorance and the cycle of poverty in our society, but through education and through our teachers. We should allot more resources in helping and professionalizing and training our teachers so that they become the best that they can be, because I believe that uh, if you want graduates who are intelligent and holistic, then we have to make our teachers intelligent, professional, and holistic too. So it's a cycle too. All right. Therefore, statement number one: teachers get paid for the time they're not working is busted. Together we say that it's busted. And I know a lot of teachers out there is hoping and praying that someday the government will see the major importance of education to the total societal change. Without education, without the teachers, there won't be any change happening in our Philippine society anytime soon. Ano kaya kung mag-alas na tayo? Sorry for that. I'm just thinking aloud, and I would like to treat this afternoon sessions like we're talking together and having sipping cup of coffee. And I hope you guys out there are sipping coffee. Like, I'm thinking like, what if say um dahil sa pag-neglect at hindi pagbigay ng importansya ng lipunan at ng gobyerno sa kapakanan ng mga guro, na inaalila na halos sa mga guro. Ano kaya kung mag-alsa ang mga teacher at hindi na magturo? Ano kaya mangyayari? Would they feel that? Hindi. Ang mangyayari doon ay kung tayo pa ang mag-aalsa na magrarally, sabihin pa nila, tayo pa ang mali, tayo pa may kasalanan. Mga teacher yan, wala maayos. I don't know. At parang nangyari sa mga teachers, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Oh, okay. So let's have statement number 2. Statement number 2 says, a teacher's only job is to teach. Alam mo yun? When I was a classroom teacher, I remember one parent approaching me, telling me that, you know what, your main responsibility is to teach my daughter, and all other things, wag na. Kasi nga, may ang ginagawa ko nun sa mga estudyante kasi hindi naman ako class advisor. I was a reading teacher sa Assumption College. Do I have to say the school though? I was Assumption College in San Marcelino sa Makati. And I was handling teaching developmental reading. And I had some students who really have reading problems. And what I did is via this diagnosis that I did, I gave attention to some of the students that I saw are struggling or will be struggling all throughout the school year, and I provided additional activities. Tapos yung bata, well, siguro ang mali ko doon dahil hindi ko na-orient ang mga parents. I think one of the many important that then I realized that it's very important that we involve parents. Dahil ang nangyari kasi, dahil school responsibility lang naman, sa school ko ginagawa. And then, ang mga bata kasi, hindi naman sila nagsusumbong. Nagkikwento lang sila. They don't, I do believe that students do not have malice in telling their parents about what they're doing at school. It's just that the parents are the ones giving meaning to these stories coming from their kids. So akala ng mga magulang na pinapahirapan ko yung anak nila dahil binibigay ko ng additional activities and additional time for them to stay at school for more reading intervention. Mga ano lang naman, 15 minutes bago sila umalis. So feeling ng mga magulang pinapahirapan ko yung mga anak nila. So instead of talking to me, well, I think one of the mistakes of the parents was that instead of talking, dumiretso na sila sa principal, sa school directors namin, instead of, talking to me first. So pinatawa ko ng school directors, yung school directors ko naman, alam niya yung programa, inaprobahan niya, pero, of course, kasi nga private schools, sinuportahan niya mga magulang. So pinapatanggal niya sa akin yung programa na yun, hayaan ko na lang daw. Sabi ko, but I cannot accept the fact that I already, yun ang sakit kasi ng mga teachers na pag na-identify na natin na may problema ang mga estudyante, hindi tayo talaga makatulog at gagawa talaga ng paraan. Yung mga part na yun, hindi maintindihan ng mga tao na actually, hindi lang pagtuturo ang ating responsibilidad, kundi the total development of our students. Sabihin na nila pakialamero, pero we were trained to be that. Teachers were trained to care. Saan kayang mundo na tinitrain natin ang teachers not to care for the welfare of their students? Therefore, I would say statement number 2, I don't want to linger on this because baka maging emotional po tayo lahat, is busted. A teacher's only job is to teach. No, it is also to guide and to profile and to help students realize their potential, but of course, with the involvement of all other stakeholders of the school. Again, learn from my mistakes. Proper orientation is very important. My mistake, again, when I did that, is that I did not orient the parents. Although I oriented the school, oriented the students, syempre ang mga magulang, dahil hindi na-orient, iba ang interpretasyon sa dagdag ng mga activities. Anyway, bumabalik ko sa sakit ng damdamin ko noon. All right, so let's have the third and last statement about a myth on the role of a teacher. Teachers get into the profession just for the easy schedule. A lot of people would say, uy, mag-education ka na lang kasi pag summer break, walang klase. Tapos ang mga teacher, pag wala ng turo, wala nang ginagawa. May sweldo pa sila. Diyan kayo nagkakamali. Um, I think being a teacher is the most exhausting, most demanding of all professions because kahit pa sabihin na walang pasok, may trabaho pa rin kami, may ginagawa kami, may mga reports na ginagawa, may mga trainings, may mga modules, advanced that we are supposed to be doing and all, even if it's summer break, and if it's summer break, even if our students are not there, we are still working, and that's a myth. Teachers get into depression just for the easy schedule, probably for some people who do not understand the nature of the task and the responsibilities or terms of reference of the teachers. But you people out there who are not into the education profession, I am telling you now, wala po kaming pahinga. Kahit linggo minsan, ginagawa naming oras para mag-prepare for the next day. With that, statement number 3, teachers get into the profession just for the easy schedule is busted. It is the most demanding of all professions that I know of. And even if it's summer, we are still working. And even if we are not paid, we still work. Ignore that. Let's proceed to analyze this. I came over this online article again. Sana po tayo lahat basa ng basa ng mga articles, published researches, because it refines our thoughts and refines our program creation and designing for our schools that becomes more apt to the needs of our learners. I'm just saying that, kaya lang siguro alam ko po, naintindihan ko po kayo mga teachers out there, wala na po ngayong time, magbabasa po kayo ng article, tapos wala pang connection. I do understand. Sige, leave the reading and doing research to me since wala naman na akong ginawa ko mga estudyante, fine. Okay, ibigay nyo sa Vibal ang mga dapat naming harapin ng research and then we'll do that for you. That would be a good program. Bakit hindi kayo magbigay sa amin ng mga magsulat kayo sa amin ng mga problema ninyo tapos hahanapan namin ng research to solve it. Good. Ay, sorry po, Vibala. I'm just, I'm sorry. My mind is, even if I'm tired and I haven't had enough sleep, my mind is still working. And when it comes to teachers, I really would like to solve some of the many problems of the teachers. Okay, let's have this context. Okay. Ito po ay galing kay Rachel Gillette that she published online way back in 2016. She said that teachers are only one important part of what makes up school. Guidance counselors play a pivotal role, very important role in assisting and guiding students when they need adult to give them one-on-one attention to seek advice. Guidance counselors are adults who student can trust. Ang gusto niyang sabihin kasi dito kay Rachel Gillette is baguhin daw natin ang pag-iisip ng mga estudyante at ng mga parents na mga anak nila pag tinatawag ng guidance counselor or pinatawag ng guidance office o kaya pinatawag ng class advisor, may ginawang kabulastugan ang bata. Hindi daw dapat ganoon. The guidance counseling program, the role of the class advisor should be towards the idea that a positive support to students. Hindi may ginawang kalokohan, kundi paano pa makadagdag sa pagprogreso at paggaling ng kanilang mga anak. So dapat mabago natin ang perspective. That's why I like this article of Rachel Gillette. It wants us to believe na kasi yung ginagawa natin, panakot natin ang guidance counselor, hindi dapat. Dapat ang feeling ng mga bata, they want to go. They would want more to have more time with their advisor because they feel like that they are with the family. Yan po ang nangyari sa mga anak-anakan ko sa Sisters sa Mary, mga girls town ko. One way or the other, I felt like I failed them. Kasi may mga estudyante ako na, well anyway, I will not tell you what happened. Basta, every time, tawag nila sa akin kasi tatay, I was part of the ARDC, that's Administrative Research and Development Center of the Sisters of Mary. And meron po kami mga anak-anak sa mga girls. And then what I do is that I constantly communicate with them. Kinukuha ko ang grades nila, tinitingnan ko saan sila mahina. And then alam ko mahina sila in English communication. So I told them that practice their English communication. So every time they are with me or they talk to me, try to speak English and I will support them with that. We do picnics every now and then. We try to, parang anak talaga ang treatment ko sa kanila. And it pains me to see some of them like failing in class. I feel like I did not do my job well. Kasi kasama po natin is to identify ano ba talaga ang struggles, ano ba ang mga barriers ng mga estudyante natin para mag-improve. Because if they have, family problems, I think we can do something about that. Because it's one of the main responsibilities of the class advisor. I know it's too much. Kaya nga dapat ang mga class advisor deloaded. Okay, deloaded talaga siya para nabibigyan niya ng pansin ang pangangailangan ng kanyang mga class advisees. Okay, so let's proceed. Teachers are only one important part of what makes up a school system. Sorry, naalala ko tuloy Ang tawag kasi sa akin ng mga, na-miss ko tuloy yung mga anak ko. Ang tawag nila kasi sa akin, sa boys town tsaka sa girls town, ang tawag nila sa akin yung mga anak ko, yung tatay. Tatay Rick. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed. Melancholy moment. Teachers are only one important part of what makes up a school system. Okay? Isa lang siya. Ay, umulit ako doon. Doon tayo sa baba. By working together, both teachers and counselors take care of the numerous needs of students have: educational, emotional, psychological, career planning, college preparation, and more. So these are some of the many tasks of not just the guidance counselor, but also the advisor to look into not just the academic prowess or progress of our students, but also to look at emotional. Okay? Ito yung isa sa pinakamahirap na trabaho ng isang class advisor, yung tingnan yung emotional. Of course, we don't, alam ko may mga financial problems sa mga bata, pero hindi yung kasama sa mga task ng mga class advisor. Pero may mga teachers out there na pag nakitaan nila yung mga kanilang mga estudyante, kanilang class advisors na walang makain, may problema, I commend all of these teachers that they would shell out just to provide food, temporary, food for these students, food supply for these students. Kudos to you, and you have a good soul. You'll reap the rewards, not in this life, but in the next life. Psychological too. Maraming mga estudyante ang nag-drop out from school, not because of that they are really struggling with the classes, but because they have low self-esteem, and that's psychological, and their self-identity and their self-concept is so low that no matter what the praises and the motivation, extra motivation is provided to them, still it won't work because their internal motivation is off. Okay, so again, not all teachers are trained. Not all teachers are trained to do this. That's why the guidance counselor's office is there to provide training to the class advisor. Yan po ang kulang sa mga class advisors. Binigyan ng trabaho ng school na maging class advisor, pero hindi binigyan ng training to do guidance and counseling. Hindi binigyan ng training paano gumawa ng paggawa ng FGD, focus group discussion, paano mag-interview, paano mag-individual counseling, paano yun? Sabi niya, sir, paano mo natutunan yun? Part kasi sa amin nun sa reading, ang reading clinic. Part of the reading clinic is doing guidance counseling and taking care of psychological and emotional needs of our students, because we found out that most of the reading problems of students are towards their self-concept and self-esteem. And before we can provide them with the reading programs and reading intervention programs, we have to help them improve their self-concept and self-identity. By doing that, their intrinsic motivation increases, and therefore all other external motivation can now be of support to the development of the students. Yan po ang role talaga ng advisors. Kailang kulang po ang training nila. Okay, career planning, college preparation. Sometimes our teachers' success in life becomes a model to our students' success as well. Kaya kung matatanungin yung mga teacher, bakit ka naging teacher? Because they were meron sila mga idol na mga teachers before, that they were inspired by their teachers before. Now, asking me why I became a teacher, really wasn't my dream to be a teacher when I was elementary. I wanted to be, of course, I wanted to be a priest. Second, I wanted to be a doctor, medical doctor, because it was a dream of my mom. Then third, I want to be a lawyer because it was my mom's dream. But on the fourth, I don't know, along the way, I became an educator. Andito na po ako, wala na akong magawa. All right. So on that note, what the article Rachel is trying to tell us is that the guidance counselor's responsibility is huge, because it is not only looking at the academic progress of students, but looking at the totality of the progress of our students. And the main task is to identify the barriers towards that total development of our students. And if there's only one counselor in the whole school, he or she cannot do that responsibility. And we're talking about how many students in a class and how many sections in a grade level and across grade levels. We're talking about more than 100, more than 200, or even more than 1,000 student population in a class, in a school. So the guidance counselor need advisors, so that these class advisors will be as a direct support to the individual needs of the students. Sila kasi ang frontliner, silang nakakilala sa mga estudyante nila. So might as well, sila talaga ang bigyan ng training para makapagbigay ng guidance program to the students. That's why it's called Homeroom. Okay? All right. So let's now proceed to discussion. Yun po sinasabi po natin na hindi kaya ang role po. Nagkaroon po tayo ng class advisor because it's part of the guidance counseling of program, the school. Hindi po siya academic ha. Okay, a lot of people that I've talked to, they see homeroom as academic. Trabaho na po yan ng mga subject area teachers, ng mga academic teachers. The role of the class advisor is to, yes, one, monitor the academic progress of the students, but also identify the barriers and other areas that students need to improve on. Please go back to my discussion on profiling. There are the different domains that students need to improve on. Yun dapat ang titingnan nun. Okay, so you go back to my talk on student profiling. Okay, let's proceed to answering question number 1 because I already ate 30 minutes. I'm still have 1 hour to go anyway. What is homeroom guidance program? Just, in its total sense. All right. So I would like to invoke Eric Erickson's stage of psychosocial development, and these are what our students would have to go through in developing their personality, themselves as a person, as an individual, as a member of the family, as a member of the community, and as a lifelong learner. So it starts, of course, with trust and versus trust, that by 0 to 1.5 years, our students gain, if the parents would give the basics of the students emotionally as well, emotional needs of the students develop the value and the virtue of hope. Naniniwala siya na may hope. Kung dito pa lang, wala pa lang, ang mga bata wala nang pakialam sa mundo dahil wala na silang hope. Dahil wala na sa pamilya nga lang, wala na siyang trust doon. Ano pa kayo sa buong mundo? Alright? Autonomy as well. So this is where our students get the will to do things. Okay? Nagkakayan lang gawin. Dito po nagsisimula ang pagbibigay ng mga responsibilidad sa mga bata. And these 2 stages that are developed at home. Sa bahay daw, dapat ang mga magulang at mga caregivers ay binibigyan ng emotional support ng mga bata, but also teach them to be independent. Binibaby natin pero hindi sobrang ginagawang dependent sila sa atin. Okay? So dapat parents strike a balance between doting, spoiling, and giving responsibilities to the students. Okay? So hope and will starts at home. Kung ang mga bata may problema sa home, may problema sa kanilang independence, you will know as teachers, you will know as advisors that the root cause would be sa bahay. Hindi yan nagsisimula sa school, nagsisimula yan sa bahay. Kung wala silang trust sa ibang tao, pinag-aaway-away yung mga classmates niya, hindi siya naniniwala sa mga sinasabi ng teachers o ng mga classmates niya, at tapos tamad siya, ayaw ng responsibilidad. Lahat yan ay hindi galing sa school. Hindi yan impluwensya ng school, ng media, hindi yan impluwensya ng teacher. Yan po ay nanggaling sa bahay. So kung class advisor, meron kayong estudyante na ganun pong category, you know that the root cause is sa bahay. So mag-home visitation po tayo. Since wala namang home visitation po dito ngayon, ang pwede po natin gawin ay online po. Pwede kayo mag-interview sa mga magulang. Kaya lang, we did that before, na mag-interview sa mga magulang sa online. May mga magulang talaga nagsisinungaling kasi nga Gusto nila palagi magandang image nila at saka image ng kanilang mga anak. I don't know. Hanggat hindi natin nababago ang perspektibo nila sa ganyan, hindi natin makukuha ang tamang data. All right. Next, as they move on to kindergarten, as they enter the formal education in the Philippines or in any educational system matter, students now find a purpose of what the purpose in life, purpose, because education provides them with responsibilities that is over and above the responsibilities at home, that they're supposed to do this because if they don't do that, no one's gonna do it for them. So that's why if tinuruan po natin ang mga bata na gawin ang kanilang assignments, gawin ang kanilang mga responsibilities sa school, and they're supposed to follow deadlines, kids develop the virtue of purpose. Okay? So a lot of teachers, dapat advisors, identify natin sino ang mga teacher natin na hindi nagbibigay ng strict adherence to deadlines. May mga teacher kasi na nagde-develop ng laziness among our students. Ito yung mga teacher na na walang mga deadline. Okay? Ito yung mga teacher na pa-happy-happy, pa-cute-cute lang. So dapat trabaho pala ng advisor is to consult with these teachers that may be giving a counter development among our advances. Ginawa ko po yan talaga, kinakausap ko talaga yung iba mga teachers na mga estudyante ko. Sabi ko, sorry po kasi ang mga based on our casual discussion, some of my students would say na they like your class. And then the answer why they like your class kasi tawanan lang at walang ginagawa. Tapos hindi naman nila kailangan mag-submit on time. So, paano natin tuturuan na bata ng initiative and the idea of guilt of not doing things at magkakaroon sila ng purpose of, doing things because they have to do it because of responsibility. Kung may mga teachers tayo ganyan. Right? Trabaho po natin yun. Advisors. Next would be industry versus inferiority. That would be 5 to 12 years old. This is where our students develop the virtue of competence because some students now are, complicating, having a complex responsibilities, and there will be no specific learning tasks and learning outcomes they need to accomplish by individual and groups. So they develop the idea of industry and collaborating with others. And with the guide of the teacher, the students develop competence via academic skills and all other skills that they need to acquire. Okay? So dito yun. Okay? Mathematics skills, lahat. So dito i-monitor ng advisor yung mga ang pagpo-progress ng bata in all other subject area para makita niya na mahina siya sa math, ito ang aking tututukan sa mga anak. At sasabihan ko yung ang teacher nila sa mathematics na tutukan siya. Okay? Alam mo ginawa yan kasi sa akin ng advisor namin sa high school. Sa high school kasi meron kayong mga advice. Di ba mga high school may advisor pa? Kahit po kami nasa lab school noon, meron kaming advisor. Just so happen yung first year kami, yung advisor was my tita. I didn't know that tita ko pa siya. Pero tita ko siya, English teacher. Tapos nakita niya na i-excel ako sa mga subjects ng English, Filipino. Pero pagdating sa math, nakakapasa. Pero for a student in a lab class, a laboratory section, hindi, or R&D section, parang hindi katanggap-tanggap. So kinakausap niya yung aming math teacher, natutukan ako. Pero hindi niya sinabi sa akin na natututukan na bibigyan ako. Kaya ang nangyari sa klase, ako palaging tinatawag, mag-board work. I was hoping na hindi ako tatawag kasi ang aking idea lang nun ay makapasa lang. Dahil sa palagi niya akong tinatawag, na-force ako na mag-aral ng mathematics. Kaya nahihiya ako na tatawagin ako mag-board work kasi hindi ko magagawa. So one way or the other, nakatulong pala yon kasi ginawa ng advisor ko. Kung hindi ginawa ng advisor yun, siguro hanggang tamad pa rin ako nun. Wala akong natutunan. Hindi ako nag-excel pa rin sa math, pero hindi naman ako bumagsak. Pero my grade, nag-improve ang grade ko. I think my grade nun was 87. Pwede na. Okay, then we have for when they enter junior high school and senior high school, they now have identity role confusion. Ito na po yung mga raging hormones and all, having identity crisis. But even if they're identity crisis, the goal here for advisors is to identify what students are strong at and what they are weak at, and then do something about overcoming the weaknesses. Some of the advisors would do is that to help students just focus on their strength. That is not a good advising or homeroom program. Our goal is to compensate, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and not just focus on their strength. Yun ang ginagawa dati. Yun po yung idea before that, sige, kung saan ka malakas, dun ka. Kung saan ka mahina, huwag yung tingnan mo. No, no, no. Kung saan ka malakas, okay, continue, do enhancement, pero bigyan natin din ng pansin, mas maraming pansin, ang weaknesses mo that you need to overcome. That's because you need to develop those as to become more holistic. Okay? So by that, students are able to realize that people and individuals are different, and we need to accept our individuality, because my strength becomes my strength will be a way for you to, I could be a way to help you overcome your weaknesses. Kung mahina ka sa English, ako ang malakas doon, so tutulungan kita. Tapos ako naman mahina sa math, ikaw magaling sa, so nagko-compensate. So fidelity, by looking at the differences, our students are able to come together and help each other by looking at their weaknesses and compensating, looking at their strength and using their strength to help each other overcome their weaknesses. That's fidelity. Okay? And if you look at this, purpose and competence fidelity still emanates from the house. Sa bahay pa rin po yun, pero nadadagdagan na ng school. So if our students have problem with purpose, have problems with competence and fidelity, dalawa pa yung source ng problema na yan. It would be the family or the school. Okay? So yan po ang role ng advisor, school advisor, to look at all of this. So as a school advisor or class advisor, we must be reminded, or we must be mindful of Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development, so that we would know what virtues and what are the crises that our students are going through at a certain age, approximately though. Okay? So the school guidance and counseling program are for individual students. So dapat ang role daw ng guidance office and the guidance counselor and the class advisor is to look at individual students, how they can help individual students. Pero kung dami estudyante, paano nga naman magagawa yun ng guidance counselor? Right? Next would be, ano ang pangailangan ng buong section? Okay? Hindi lang isang estudyante, kundi yung buong section din. Anong pangailangan ng buong grade level? Ano ang pangailangan ng bawat academic program, like math program, science program, or kaya by case stage, kinder program, primary grade level program, middle grade program, junior high school program, may mga pangailangan yan. Yan ay tinitingnan din ng guidance counselor's office. Then co-curricular programs also, the one that we discussed yesterday, the interest clubs, how that help in the total development of the individual students, and that would be extracurricular programs. Doon po sa task, extracurricular programs. Those are programs that are not part of the school program, but maybe engaged in by the school and the students by invitations from the outside of the school, like quiz bees, cultural shows. So class or section individual students may be the responsibility of the teacher advisor. Okay, while the grade level academic program, co-curricular and the extracurricular programs may be the responsibilities of the grade level coordinators or the academic coordinators or the advisors or the club advisors. Okay, now the advisors, the coordinators, the teacher advisor must be trained and must be well coordinated by the school guidance counselor. Okay, so ito po yung pinaka-idea ng school guidance and counseling program, that in the reality, teacher advisor, advisors and coordinators must be trained under the bigger umbrella, the school guidance and counseling program. I've been telling this, academic is only one area of the total school program. Go back again to my discussion on student profiling. Sorry, nawawala na yung epekto ni Lola Remedios. Right? Let's summarize our answer to question number one. The school counseling and guidance program is an integral part of the total educational process in the school and is accessible to all students. Ulitin ko po, nakalagay ng integral part of the total educational process. So kasama po doon ang pag-monitor ng grades ng mga bata, performance niya, ang kanyang personality development, EQ, study habits, interest inventories, lahat na nakalagay sa profile, nakalagay yan sa guidance counselor's office at pinumonta yun ng guidance counselor. And then via, of course, the help of the teacher advisor. Okay. Also, the counseling and guidance program consists of activities that address and meet students' various educational and developmental needs. Okay? Nakakalimutan po kasi natin, minsan ang ginagawa lang ng school ay yung grado lang ng bata. Sad to know. Parang may bali yata sa ating grading system sa ating K-12, you know? Nakafocus lang kasi sa academics, nawala na yung mga co-curricular, no? Ano kasi namin, dapat ang academic kundi pati sa non-academics as well. Di pa ako magreklamo ang panahon niya ni Dr. Dina Ocampo. Okay, next. The school counseling and guidance program is developed as a result of a thorough analysis of student needs, desired achievement goals, and related data. Alright? Ang tawag natin dati doon ay student profile or student profiling. By the student profiling, our students, our teachers, and advisors will be able to know the needs of our learners in different domains. And then the advisor, via the endorsement of and support of the guidance counselor's office, can come up with specific programs, activities to enhance, if not to remedy, some of the problems of the students in terms not just of learning, but also in social emotional development, physical development areas. Let's proceed to the general programs of the school counseling. So we have the goal of each school counseling and guidance programs to ensure the student success in 3 broad domains. One, of course, academic development, definitely. Next, career development, career orientation, and of course, personal and social development. Okay, also known social emotional development. So sana magbago po ang paningin po natin sa educational system. Hindi lang yung puro academics. Ha? Ang ginagawa kasi ng mga schools ngayon ay puro nakatingin, nakatutok sa academics. Let's proceed to the next question. Why is guidance program important to students? Just, asking through this. Wala na akong boses. 1. Students are given proper guidance on how to deal with psychological problems which can badly impact their studies. Ito yung tinitingnan natin na may mga bata na posibleng may problema psychologically. So our students have psychological assessments to them because only registered psychologists can administer psychological tools to our students. But of course, could be through the help of the class advisors. Okay? Iti-train din po sila kung paano gamitin ang data and how to administer tests with the supervision of the guidance office. Ang mahal po kasi ng mga standardized psychological instruments na ito, and hindi yan nabibili ng hindi licensed psychologist ang bibili. Okay? Kaya kung ako po sa inyo, mag-enter na lang kayo ng contract sa mga associations or ng mga centers like CEM, Center for Educational Measurement, but they can do the profiling for you. Next, we have the students are advised on how to cope with different situations they tend to face in their school because there's what we call as FGD, focus group discussion, looking at certain problems, and then students by voicing out their problems, they're able to be guided not just by the teacher, but also some of the classmates and how they can cope with the differences. And they get to share some of these problems to their classmates, and they get to realize that ay hindi lang pala sila ang may problema na gano'n. Marami din mga classmates nila ang dumadaan sa ganung problema. So hindi lang sila talaga. So bakit siya mag-iisip na siya lang talaga ang naghihirap sa mundong ito? Alright? It helps to shape a student's behavior and also instill enough discipline in them. One of the main responsibilities of the class advisor is to instill discipline. When in fact, it should be from the house. Kaya lang sabi nga natin kanina, kung hindi nabibigyan ng pansin ng mga magulang ang pagtuturo ng disiplina sa kanilang mga anak, napupunta sa school and becomes one of the responsibilities of the school advisor kasi para siyang pinakapangalawang magulang ng mga bata. Next would be student learn how to live in peace and harmony with others in the school community, because ang trabaho ng isang school advisor is to do conflict resolution uh, programs. So pag may nag-aaway ng mga bata, si teacher dapat hindi papanig. Ang trabaho niya dapat ay pagharapin ang dalawang nag-away at make them realize, ito pong trabaho ng advisor, make them realize na silang dalawa ay may kasalanan. Hindi yung papanik sa, oh, ikaw naman pala may kasalanan. Hindi ganoon ang conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is allowing each member, individuals involved in a fight or in an argument to realize their part in the fruition of the argument. Kasi sabi nga natin, hindi magkakaroon ng away kung walang pumatol. Hindi magkakaroon, nagpatulan eh. Alright? Next, it helps to bridge the gap between students and the school administrator. Pag maganda daw talaga ang school program, especially on guidance program, the student feels that they belong to the school, they belong to the community, they belong to family, to the point that they feel like mas mahal nila ang school, mas mahal nila ang kanilang mga teacher kaysa sa mga magulang. There would come a point to that kasi nga the concern is there. Nangyari po yan sa mga schools namin na minsan nagiging nuisance kasi nga every now and then kakatok sa office, hello, hi, kumusta po? Oo po, may kumusta? Alam mo ito. Siyempre, alangan sabihin mo na umalis ka muna, may tinatapos pa akong trabaho. Pero siyempre, because that behavior alone make us, it's an indication or indicator that they already feel like the school is their family. And you as a guidance counselor and a class advisor is a pivotal factor in making the students feel that they belong to the school. Okay. Next, we have students get comprehensive advice on career courses and jobs, enable them to make. Yung lahat dyan ng mga naging advisor, di ba? Minsan sinishare na natin. Ito po, common po yan sa mga class advisor. Nagkikwento na tayo ng ating buhay. And then ang mga successes natin, mga struggles natin sa buhay become, an inspiration for our students to be able to overcome their struggles in life. And that you're doing a good job. Okay? It allows students to talk to teachers about various experiences that make them uncomfortable. All right? I think it's self-explanatory. Next, 2, guidance and counseling also makes students better human beings since they are counseled in how to act and behave in particular situations. So tinuturuan po natin kung ano yung tama. Like this morning, I talked about communication skills. One of the things that we need to teach as advisors to our students is proper courteous expressions, proper way of using language in different communication situations na hindi pwedeng yung language lang nila masusunod palagi. Okay? Na kung kausap nila ang principal, dapat ibang language ang gagamitin nila. Pag kausap nila ang teacher, hindi parang kaibigan lang nila, uy, teacher, kumusta ka dyan? Anong ginagawa ni bang teacher? Sasagutin na ng estudyante na, oh, kumusta ka dyan? Anong ginagawa mo? Patupang kita dyan. Kung ako makarinig ng teacher na ganyan, excuse me, I think you have forgotten your role as a model of how a professional and the proper use of language to different situations and different types of people. If you respond back to the students, it's like like the way they address you, it's like telling them na tama yan. Yan ang tamang pagkikipag-usap sa mga taong may posisyon, sa may taong mas nakatatanda sa inyo. No wonder our students, some of our students do not know how to respect their other teachers kasi some other teachers just doesn't care the language of respect or a language that shows respect. Number 9, it enables students undergoing certain difficulties in their lives to ask questions and clarify them through guiding and counseling. So ito po nangyari. Pag naging close kasi at nagkaroon sa homeroom po at nakita ng mga bata na pwede ka nilang, you are a counselor, that they can confide on you. Sasabihin nila ang problema. And it's one of the many responsibilities that's really burdensome for advisors is to carry the burden of the problems of the students. And that's why I've been advocating to deload teachers with advices or advising responsibilities. Okay. With that cleared out, let's proceed to the next question. What do schools need to have teacher advisor program? Why do schools need to have teacher advisor program. Bakit nga? Bakit kailangan pa natin ng teacher? At ba't kailangan pa natin ng homeroom? Kung sino may problema, padala na lang natin sa guidance office. Alright? So ito lang po. The teacher advisor program is there because, one, we want to render focus on the needs of its learner. Hindi kaya ng buong school na ibigay gumawa ng isang programa na mamimit ang lahat ng pangailangan ng bata. Okay? Via the class advisor, makikita niya ang pangailangan ng bawat. Mas maliliit ang populasyon sa klase lang siya So, bibigyan ng pansin ng isang advisor ang pangailangan ng kanyang mga advices. Talagang nakalagay doon ng specific needs. Okay, kaya that's why it's focused on the needs of each learner. Next, we have acquire relevant data to arrive at holistic understanding of learners. Bakit po? Dahil si teacher ang magkukollect, si advisor po, o si class advisor ay nagkukollect ng mga information like the grades ng mga estudyante. Siya nag-monitor ng mga grades ng mga bata. Hindi lang siya ang taga-collect ng grades. Siya rin po ang hindi lang siya rin taga-bigay sa mga magulang. Siya rin po ang nag-monitor. Bakit siya mahina? Nakausapin niya yung teacher kung bakit mahina. Ano pong ginawa ng estudyante ko dito? Hindi na yata, hindi ko alam kung ginagawa pa ng advisor ninyo yan ngayon, pero yan po sa mga responsibilities talaga ng advisor. Again, sabi ko, kaya dapat diloaded lang si advisor kasi ang dami na ng responsibilidad. Also looking at what are the clubs. So kakausapin din niya mga club advisors as to the performance of his or her advices in the co-curricular programs. Next, maintain discipline among learners. Siyang kakausap. Dahil nga nagipag-usap sa mga teachers ng mga estudyante niya, nalalaman niya kung anong behavior ng mga estudyante niya. Halimbawa, I'm not gonna mention the school, pero isang teacher nagsabi sa akin, Sir, binungbubunggo lang po ako ng grade 10 namin, students. Kasi ang lalaki na po nila, malit lang naman po na ako. Binungbubunggo lang nila ako, tapos akala ko, susuntukin na ako. Sabi ko, anong ginawa mo? Lumabas po ako ng klase, tapos ito po, dumiretso na po ako sa iyo ngayon. So ang ginawa ko, sabi ko, si teacher baka hindi nagpakita ng authority and all. So sabi ko, syempre, di ko naman pwede sisingin si teacher. So I had to go to the class and then I observed. So tinignan ko ang klase, anong ginagawa, and then kinausap ko sila naman sinsinan and the role of the teacher and the respect. No matter what they see and what they hear about the teacher, it does not make them, that does not give them the right to disrespect their teachers. Okay? So from then on, I realized na kailangan lang talaga kausapin ang mga estudyante. And then I realized too that some of our teachers and class advisors have not been trained to handle this kind of behaviors from students. Then sabi ko bakit? First time ko kasi yung mag-handle ng school na yon. I thought kasi prolific na ang guidance counseling program ng school at all teachers have been trained on conflict resolution, especially in classes. Hindi pala. Mahirap kasi ang conflict resolution ng mga high school. Pag bata, madali lang po yan. Pero pag sa high school, especially yung mga kalalakihan na suntukan talaga, tapos si teacher mas maliit pa kayo si teacher, ang lalaki pa naman ng mga bata ngayon. So dapat matutunan ng teacher kung paano si teacher tumayo, ano ba ang tamang pagtayo, pagkausap sa bata na may mga galit. Yan. That would be another training on that. That would be the use of nonverbal cues. Pero that's not my part of my talk today. Okay? Next would be enable overall development among learners. So sinasabi ko na we go back to the total profile of the students at saka anong domain pa ang kulang ng bata. That's where we come for to intervene. Dito papasok po yung sinasabi po natin proper remediation and proper intervention program. Trabaho po yan ng advisor. Okay, so let's now knowing what is the why we need class advisors. Let's now answer the question: what is the role of the class advisor in the school guidance program? We still have 30 minutes to go. Don't worry, we're almost done. Okay, teacher advisor program. So, hi, teacher JD. So, teacher JD says that the teacher advisor program, one, ang trabaho po ng class advisor is to, one, conduct regular developmental guidance activities. So, sa homeroom niya, dapat magbibigay siya. Kunwari, ano ba yung developmental niya? Kung mahina ang bata sa certain virtue like hope, mahina ang bata sa will, purpose, competence, doon niya bibigyan. Later ko sasabihin kung paano niya ibibigay kung distance education yan. Pero isa yan sa pagbibigay ng programa na yan. So, paano malalaman yan? So, uh, anecdotal records, journals, yun po. Kailan po, nagjo-journal pa ba? Nire-require pa ba niyo yung mga estudyante mag-journals? Kasi sa amin, nire-require pa rin namin ng mga estudyante mag-journal. Via the journals kasi, we are able to know the feelings and emotions and ideas and what the students are going through. Haphazard. Of course, hindi namin sinasabi kung sino sila, anonymously, pero we are able to get a glimpse of what they are going through journals. Okay, next we have, ako nga, meron pa rin akong online journal. Sa Facebook ko pa nga nilalagay ang aking journal eh. Okay, next. Provide supported group of peers among learners. Ang mga teachers sa advice ang nagbibigay ng, sabi ko, kagaya ng ginawa ko nun, itong estudyante na to, mahina ang loob, mahiyain. Ipapartner ko siya sa estudyante ko dito na talagang malakas ang loob. Silang dalawang pagtatabihin ko sa klase. Tayo po mga advisor ang gumagawa ng paraan na mapagkaroon ng peer system, peer tutorial system, peering system, or partnership system sa klase para ma-compensate ang mga kakulangan ng isang estudyante o mga estudyante, and that's what we do. Okay? Seating arrangement is not just sitting arrangement. It is also part of strategic part of making some students sit beside each other to develop, certain developmental requirement or skill. Next, hold regular student and parent conferences. Usually we have we have student conferences like every once a quarter. Sa public medyo mahirap na ito kasi dami nga lang, pero ano mang randomly lang din kausapin natin kasi we need to, via doing regular student and parent conferences, doon nalalaman ng mga magulang kung ano pa ang dapat maitulong sa mga bata. Okay? At sana baguhin natin ang perspektibo ng mga magulang na pag kinausap natin ang mga magulang, ang inisip nila agad may ginawang kalokohan ng kanilang mga anak. Finally, keep track of their advice's academic progress, consulting with their other teachers, school counselor, and support person. So these are the 4 major responsibilities of the teacher advisor na hawak nila. So conduct regular developmental guidance activities must be modular dapat yan. Nagawa po yan in connection with the guidance office. Kasi meron po mga sinasabi, yung binigay ko kanina sa Eric Erickson, may mga modules po na to develop certain virtues and personality at every grade level or stage na yun pong gagawin po ng module sana. Hindi si teacher dapat ang gumagawa yan. That should come from the guidance counselor's office. Okay, itong part ito number 1. Pero siya po ang magpukondak na lang. Pero dapat train po siya ng guidance counselor's office. Right? Apologies, wala na akong naramdaman ko na aking sore throat ulit. And to summarize our answer to question number 3, we have, for a successful homeroom guidance program, a teacher advisor program must be incorporated as part of the regular curriculum. So schedule po siya talaga. Normally, we have homeroom schedule 1 hour a week. Talagang kasama siya sa curricular program or curricular schedules ng mga bata para hindi siya ginagawang bird course ng mga estudyante. And second to the last question, we have, what are homeroom guidance programs for our students? Isa-isa lang po natin to run through this para makapunta po tayo kung paano natin i-deliver yan. I would suggest how it can be delivered to our students in a more simpler way. Well, simpler sa perspective namin sa schools na hawak ko kasi hindi ko pa rin I don't have an idea of the different situations of different schools in the Philippines. But what I'm sharing here is the things that we've been doing, yung ginagawa namin, and it may help you, or you can modify this to help you with. Okay, number 1. One thing that we need to provide the school guidance program is provide orientation programs. Trabaho po ng advisor na tumulong sa guidance office as a school na magbigay ng orientation sa mga magulang, magbigay ng orientation sa mga estudyante, magbigay orientation sa mga teachers kung paano ang total guidance program sa mga estudyante at paano makakatulong ang mga magulang at ang mga academic teachers sa total development ng mga estudyante. So orientation is very important. Ito yung sinasabi ko po. That's why I put this number 1 because it was one of my mistakes before. Yung unang-una, kasi it was my first 2 years of teaching after graduating from TNU. So alam mo na maraming ideal pa ako talagang kung may naisip na ako, implement, to the point that the number 1 thing that we forget is involving, eliciting, and enlisting the active participation of various stakeholders of education. So kasama po doon, importante, number 1 is orientation. So kung the success and failure of any program of the school would definitely rely entirely on how successful your orientation programs were. Kasi kung maayos ang orientation, I do believe that the programs will, run smoothly. Next, we have provide study skills and habits formation to learners. Isa yan na kung pwede po natin gawin na ano tayo gumawa ng modules na mag-develop ng study skills like note-taking, gumawa ng outline, summarizing, although they are part of some of the subject area, pero dito sa homeroom natin, ay bibigyan natin ng pansin kung paano magbigay ng, paano ma-actualize ang mga habits na ito. Alright? Next, we have provide programs to improve communication skills of learners. Ito po yung sinabi ko kanina umaga on communication skills. So by allowing students to have like FGD, focus group discussion, talking with each other, using the online platforms for them to communicate and providing them with, a little bit of orientation as to proper use of the language and different types of people and different situations, different time as well, and different gender and different culture, then our students will definitely improve their communication skills. Tama po natin yun. Next, provide programs to improve decision-making and problem-solving skills of our learners by listening to their problems, both in academic and non-academic arena. We will be able to shed some solutions as to how can they choose the proper course of action to improve their problems, to improve their deficits. Sorry, nawawala na. Pardon me. And then we have number 5. We have provide programs to improve peer relations among learners. May ginagawa kasi ako na meron akong formal, like every after quarter, meron kaming parang picnic lang sa school lang din. Picnic, tapos chika-chika lang kami, sharing of experiences. So via this, ang ginagawa namin na peer relations among learners, nagkakaroon po ng mas close tight relationship na ang tingin ng mga advices ko ay magkakapatid sila, magtutulungan sila. And if we're successful at this, maganda po ang samahan ng klase natin. Next would be provide programs to improve intrinsic motivation of our learners, like providing with, ito yung ginagawa ko nun sa mga estudyante ko nun, ano ba ang goal mo sa buhay? Anong gusto mo sa buhay? So let's work on that. Let's work together at para ma-reach mo yung goal na yan. And bakit yung ginagawa yun sa mga estudyante? There was one teacher ko before sa elementary, sa Divine Word University, Caloban, that supported me. I was in grade 6, si Ma'am Bugal. She kept on, even outside the class, laging sinasabi, remember, we have a pact together that you study well and you become good. And kasi palagi ako natutulog sa klase nun kasi malaro ako. Anyway, she made a pact that she will support me, help me improve my handwriting and all. And if I also do my response, my end of the pact. And I think without me realizing it, I became a teacher, and probably because she could be one of those influences. I mean, the back of my mind, perhaps. So providing programs to improve intrinsic motivation of learners is one of those things, like providing us with goals, even having promise, making promises to each other, and the teacher doing the utmost to fulfill their responsibilities, and all constantly reminding the students to fulfill their promises too of the path. Pero kami sinasabi nun na contract ng mga teachers, advisor, ginawa ko na meron kami the teacher and advisee contract. I will Ganun. And I would like to, after 10 years, yung mga goals nila, so yun, hindi ko naman nabalikan na kasi after another year, wala na ako sa school. Pero the point that every now and then na pag nakikita ko ng mga estudyante, Sir, alam mo pinag-usapan natin yun, yung sabi niyo magiging ganito ako at sa promise ko magiging ganito ako. Po, naging ganun po talaga ako. Ngayon na po ako, doctor na po ako ngayon. At 1 year lang ako sa kanila and made an impact. Because being an advisor is actually making an inspiration, providing inspiration to our students. Ang dami kong sinabi. Number 7. One of the many things that we need to provide to our students would be conflict resolution avenues for learners. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na our responsibility as advisors, hindi po mawawala ang awayan sa klase. Hindi po yan mawawala. Especially for as they enter junior high school and senior high school, mas marami pong conflict yan, especially for, raging hormones stage. So what we can do is make them more of using reflective approach, where we use questions to make them realize of their faults and their involvement in the argument or the fight, making them realize that there's no one person is at fault, but all of them, even those who were watching should be at fault as well. Kaya pinapatawag ko rin yung sino pa ang napanood nun? Sino at ba't hindi yung sinita? Bakit ka pumanig? Alam bang kwento? Di ba sabi po natin, para kayo magkakapatid dito, bakit minaway? O bakit kayo nag-ano? So yung mga ganong perspektibo sana, may mga advisors kasi na pumapanig na our job is not to do that. Our job is to make our students realize of their participation in an argument or any fight. Okay? Simple. Nag-participate man o hindi, witness lang, may kasalanan pa rin dapat. Bakit? Napanood mo pala, nakita mo, ba't hindi ka gumawa ng paraan? Number 8, promote holistic health and well-being of our learners. Nagtutulungan kasi lumalaki ako nung kasi di ako athlete na nawala na pag-athlete ng tuturuan na sa magiging ng weight. So, ang ginagawa namin is meron kaming weight goal. Nagkakaroon kami ng Zumba, mga ganyan-ganyan. So, it helps improve the camaraderie of our students. So what you can do perhaps right now is kung hindi makikita yan, you can still continue that via online. Pero very minimal na talaga na mag-online, especially if our students have problems with connectivity. Later on, I'll suggest you some ways that you can do. Next, provide self-assessment. Hindi kayo makagawa ng self-assessment nito to learners, kundi with the supervision again of the psychologist, because your psychologist should have access to psychological instruments to profile your students. Okay. The number 10, you have provide career awareness and development program for learners. Of course, again, with the supervision of your guidance counselor, there's what we call an instrument, psychological test that would, gauge the preparedness of students towards a certain career or set of careers. Okay. So coordination with the guidance counselor's office palagi. And finally, the last two would be support educational planning in school. Pag nagpaplano po talaga, pasensya po. Kung nagpaplano po ang grade level, so grade level po ito, grade 7, lahat ng advisors present po dapat. So, halimbawa, grade 7, tatawagin nila yung mga advisor ng mga estudyante nila ng grade 6 para mabigyan sila ng profile ng mga estudyante na papasok sa grade 7. Ang mga nagpaplano, alam nila, ano ba mga behavior ng mga to, ano kanilang academic profile kung hindi nagawa yung profiling. So, advisor ang nagbibigay ng input sa mga nagpaplano ng curriculum. Kasi silang nakakilala sa mga estudyante. Alright? And then number 12, will support schools' community involvement programs. Silang nakakalam kung anong appropriate na extension services na magpapa-improve sa mga social-emotional development of kids. Minsan, hindi natin muna pinapalabas sa mga bata. Kaya tayong mga advisor, sinasabi natin sa mga estudyante na hindi ka muna makakasama kasi nga magulo ka pa, hindi ka pa marunong, hindi ka pa disiplinado, baka manggulo ka lang doon sa field. So, nalalaman natin kung sino ang handa na magkaroon ng extension service at saka hindi. And then students get to look forward to okay, sige, I'll do something about my behavior and I'll improve so that I can be part of that program. Now, let's proceed to our last question. How can homeroom guidance program be delivered in distance education modalities? I'm gonna share six suggestions that I've been doing. It still is at the stage of tryout, but we have initial feedback that it's, some of it are working. So magbibigay pa ako ng isang suggestion tapos ano yung strengths and weaknesses nun based on feedback from the parents and the students alike. Number one, use of use of suggested videos and films to watch in progress. So, ang ginawa po namin sa school is to identify some of the values and the virtues that students must collectively as a class or as a grade level must develop. So, nag-create kami ng listahan ng mga videos na dapat mapanood ng mga bata with certain guide questions. And then, pagkatapos ng guide questions, meron po silang avenue for them to, converse with each other or make journals. May mga guide questions na magsusulat sila. So, binibigay po namin na like on Friday, during Friday for an hour, they're supposed to watch, and then after watching the short film or video, they're going to answer the questions. Okay, this is more of a class na generally kita po natin ang buong pangangailangan ng isang grade level or ng isang section. Magagawa po natin ng buo. Okay? So films and videos po nakaschedule, ibibigay sa mga bata o ibibigay sa mga batang listahan. Ipapakita nila yung anong papanoorin nila. So pwedeng via YouTube, sa bahay lang nila gagawin. Again, ang kailangan dito connectivity. Kung may walang connectivity ng bata, mahirap po talaga. So ang pwedeng gawin ng teacher dito ay magbigay ng synopsis. A synopsis of the film, and then yun ang babasahin ng bata sa bahay, and then magjo-journal siya. Now, the question is, Sir, wala na nga silang technology, bababa pa ang literacy level ng mga bata. Patay tayo dyan. Wala na nga video, mababa ang literacy. Ang problema ng homeroom ay hindi po virtues, development of virtues, ay literacy development. Kung alam mo mga estudyante nyo ay may problema sa literacy, kalimutan nyo muna ang lahat ng mga homeroom na yan, kalimutan nyo muna mga personal line, unahin nyo muna ang literacy. Dahil kahit anong programang ibigay natin sa mga bata, may video man yan or mayroong mga modules man yan, kung ang problema ng bata ay literacy, all homeroom programs must devote all time towards developing high literacy level among students. Until such time na na-develop ang literacy ng bata, doon po tayo bumalik sa homeroom guidance program. I'm just being practical po. Kasi ang dami pong mga homeroom, mga modules na ginawa ng mga teachers na hindi naman nagsasucceed. Bakit po? The root of the problem was ang mga bata ay illiterate. My goodness. Sabi ko, di kalimutan ng curriculum na ginawa niyo sa homeroom, unahin ang literacy program. Period. Sorry po, nagagalit ako eh. Yan po ginagawa namin ngayon sa mga schools na binibigyan namin ng tulong na sinasabihan namin sa school na i-profile po muna natin ang literacy level ng mga bata. Kasi whether we like it or not, magbigay man tayo ng films o babasahin ng mga bata para mag-improve ang kanilang personality, it will still require literacy levels. Okay? O language proficiency. Ngayon, kung mahina, edi kalimutan muna, i-set aside muna ang homeroom curriculum, unahin muna natin ang language development and literacy. So, profile muna ninyo ang literacy level. So, para malaman natin kung magsasucceed ang mga homeroom programs ninyo. Next, we have journal writing structured towards structured format. So, ang ginagawa namin, walang mga films po. So, ang pinapadala sa mga bata ay mga pictures, and then ang mga pictures na yun na kunwari pictures of issues in society na develop lang na connect sa curriculum. Halimbawa kung ito ay nasa grade 5, halimbawa ang grade 5 is all about properties of matter. Tapos ang nakalagay doon ay ang mga use and disuse of mga of matter. So ilalagay doon yung mga garbage disposal, illegal garbage, improper garbage disposal. Pwede siya magbigay ng kanyang structure. Like, merong structure ng questions like, what do you observe in the picture? What issue do you think is shown in the picture? What can you do about this? So, pwedeng ganyan ang mangyari. Picture-prompted journals. And kung hindi picture-prompted journals, kung readers na po mga bata, literate na po mga bata, pwede po mga slogans ibibigay sa kanila na would help them develop their cognitive skills, their personal skills, and of course their communication skills. So doing journal with certain focus of themes allows students to think about that. But I am suggesting in the pandemic na kung magbibigay tayo ng theme, hindi po yung out of nowhere. Ito po ay dapat kunin natin na in conjunction with what they are learning from the other subject areas. Pwede pong this week ang theme ay kinuha sa science, the next week kinuha sa mathematics, pwede pong ganun. Third suggestion that I can provide would be use comics type of modules on personality development. Ito po yung suggestion ko po kasi on faith development po ng mga bata. Ang ginawa, nung panahon po namin, wala naman kami mga TV pa noon. May Betamax siguro pero nung meron kami niyang homeroom noon, ng elementary kami, di ba masyadong ang Betamax noon. Talagang sinabi ko Betamax, mga radyo-radyo pa lang noon. So ang ginawa sa amin ay may pinapadala po ang through the help of the church, nagawa ng module in comics format, tapos yun ang pinapadala sa amin. Okay? Tapos again, in conjunction to that, sa pinabasa namin ng comics, may mga journals kami ulit. So pwede po yun. Gawin po natin comics type ang ating mga modules para sa homeroom. And then makakatulong po yan sa estudyante. And then, partner po natin with the journal writing. Pang-distance talaga siya. Okay? Number 4, I could suggest would be use online platforms. For those with good connectivity, pwede po tayo magkaroon ng mga online platforms, discussions, FGD via online, and then doon natin pinapakita mga PowerPoint presentation, may focus discussion po tayo. Yun po, pwede natin gawin pag may mga connectivities po tayo. Alas, in the Philippines, mahina talagang connectivity. It would be frustrating for our both students and the class advisor. Pero kung pwede naman, especially for the private school teachers, why not? Next, we have purposive home visitations on students who direly need close supervision. Ito po yung ginawa namin lang na kung sino lang talaga ang nangangailangan, nagkakaroon kami ng home visitations. Pero again, that was last year. This year, hindi namin alam kung papayagan kami because we have to seek permission for the local government if we will be allowed to do home visitations. So hindi ko alam kung papayagan kami kasi wala pa namang sagot. So last year it was good. Nalalaman namin at home visitations, parents appreciated the home visitations to help identify some specific problems, sources of problems of some identified students having identified learning struggles at school. Finally, involvement of the partnership of the municipal social worker. Ito po yung ginawa namin. Actually, hindi pa namin ginagawa. Ito lang yung sinuggest sa amin ng local government na just in case hindi aprobahan ng IATF, ang suggestion namin na purposive lang na home visitations na full gear naman ng mga teachers. Pagkawawa naman kung full gear talaga ng PPE, pupunta sa init-init dito sa Cavite. Kung saan man kayo. Ang gawin po daw, ang suggestion sa amin ay i-endorse daw namin ang problema na yan sa social worker ng municipality na pwede pong magkaroon ng supervision at sila po ang train na magkaroon ng contact, tracing contact. So trace contact, I don't know what, contact tracing. So alam nila kung paano mag-deal. So pwede po sila mag-home visitation for us. Depende po ulit kung pumapayag po ang municipalities. Kasi that becomes an additional responsibility of the municipal social worker. Pero kung talagang involved naman ang local government to the total development of the learners, kasi all schools within the municipality should be one of the primary concerns of the local government. So dapat tutulungan po tayo. Pero again, ito is endorsement to us. So pwede pong gawin yun. So these are the 6 suggestions that I can come up with. But if you ask me personally, ang pinaka nagtatak po sa field ay yung comics type modules at the journal. Kasi hindi kailangan, piniprint out po siya, tapos pinapadala sa mga bata, tapos ibabalik po. Nag-circulate po siya. So mayroong mga set-set po siya. Yung set-set na yan for 1 month, nag-circulate sa mga bata hanggang sa umikot na po sa lahat ng mga bata. Ang set ng mga comics po ito. Tapos meron silang journals na isasubmit sa advisor. Okay? So at this point, I would like to, these are the simple ways that I can share to you how we can continue on with the homeroom program. Ulitin ko po, kung ang root, kasi one of the questions sa akin ng sir, paano nga, ang problema nga ng mga bata ngayon, sa na-identify ko, especially sa elementary, yung struggling readers nga po. Kung magmo-modular kami, hindi nga sila mabasa. Di wag muna kayo. Ang i-focus ng homeroom po ay literacy. Wag muna yung mga guidance na yan. Literacy muna ang i-focus ninyo. Ngayon, Kung may online platform, ipasok sa online platform. Kung wala talaga, I go for again yung mga modular approach na comics types na literacy program. Okay? So if you don't have any questions, if you have questions, if you have questions, this is the time that I can entertain your questions. So Jillian, do you have questions?
Thank you very much, brother. Let us proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Maricel Lo.
Hmm.
Is it one role of a teacher to be a substitute guidance counselor inside the classroom? If it is, what are the limitations?
Excuse me, substitute?
Substitute guidance counselor inside the classroom.
Hindi po kayo substitute. Guidance counselor, you are supposed to be a partner of the guidance counselor. Dapat merong guidance counselor muna kayo sa school ninyo. Kasi ititrain muna kayo kung paano gumawa ng homeroom. Hindi kayo pwedeng gumawa ng homeroom ninyo, tapos academic din pala yun. Ang homeroom po natin is a support to the total development of their students via the initiative of the guidance counselor's office. Now, kung kayo po ay substitute, kasi sa bagay sa mga public schools, naging substitute, dapat nabigyan po kayo ng mga trainings, ng on how to do guidance counseling and all of those programs and strategies kung paano gawin po yung lahat yon. The limitation would be, of course, one, limitation po ng isang class advisor as a substitute, pero dapat hindi kayo substitute or a partner, we call it para guidance counselor, kasi you are representative of the guidance counselor to the class. Limitation should, one, testing. Limitation in testing is that you don't have access to psychological testing and you cannot administer psychological tests without the presence of a licensed psychologist. One, second, access to this. Only those licensed psychologists have access to standardized and psychological test. Second, interpretation. You need to be guided by the interpretation of the results of the tests. Next would be programs and strategies. The making of the programs and strategies must be within the supervision of the guidance counselor para malaman nyo kung ano po ang mga considerations na dapat what are the factors to be considered in making projects and programs. And finally, parang lahat ata limitasyon na yun, no? Basically, ang mangyayari po kung wala po kayong training talaga lahat ng pang-training galing sa guidance counselor's office, you will bababa na lang po ang inyong responsibilidad hanggang sa pag-monitor ng academic progress ng estudyante ninyo at ang mga pag-solve ng mga problema at mga away-away ng bata. All others po, hindi na kayo makaka-function dahil kung wala kayong guidance counselor's office at wala kayong training and supervision on those, hindi kayo pwede makakasuhan po kayo o baka ma-question pa po kayo, mahirap na. Ako kasi hindi pa ako licensed, pero my specialization in learning disability and literacy and reading literacy. So on those areas, I can develop materials, I can guide teachers. Pero on all other psychology assessment tools, we have psychologists, licensed psychologists who take care of the psychological testing. So masasabi ko lang po, very limited po ang magagawa po ninyo to the point na hanggang academic area lang po ang mabibigyan nyo ng pansin and also to the conflict resolution of students.
Thank you, brother. Our next question is from Christina Sumayod. How can we train teachers as guidance counselors to supplement the lack of guidance counselors in public schools?
Ano yun? Okay. Kung sa public schools po talaga wala kay guidance counselor's office, dapat bibigyan lahat ng identified advisors, class advisors ng mga klase, bibigyan sila ng training, thorough training on doing guidance counselor's office by a licensed guidance counselor, licensed guidance counselor. Pwedeng mag-hire ang division ng guidance counselor, licensed guidance counselor to train them thoroughly on those. Yun pong ginagawa namin. Nag-hire kami para sa lahat ng schools namin na isa lang para matrain po sila lahat. At nililibot lahat ng mga teachers para matrain po siya. Hindi pwedeng ibibigyan mo lang ng responsibilidad agad ng class advising responsibility ang mga teachers without proper training. Hindi po sila equipped. Teachers are trained to be teachers. Guidance counselors are trained to be guidance counselors. And therefore, if we want our teachers to function as para guidance counselors in their classes, in their respective classes or advisees or advisory class, then we need the help of the guidance counselor, a licensed guidance counselor, to train our teachers to do para guidance counseling responsibilities in their classes. Okay? Hanggang monitoring talaga ang magagawa ng mga guidance ng mga class advisors. Without proper training po of the supervision, kanina ko po sinasabi po, with the close supervision from a licensed guidance counselor. Sorry po, pero we have to admit that tayo pong mga teachers have been trained to plan, to teach our academic subjects. Binigyan tayo siguro ng a little bit of idea of guidance counseling, pero times has changed, may pagbabago po dahil wala rin tayong masyadong training on that, hindi rin sapat po ang ating training. Baka mas makasama pa po ang gagawin natin dahil hindi natin alam kung tama ang ginagawa. Baka mas lalo pa makasama ang gagawin natin kaysa sa makatulong sa mga bata. Thank you.
That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po, brother?
Of course, just a few reminders though. Okay? Pasensya, wala na talaga na nawala-wala na ang boses ko. Okay. When students have problems, they turn to those whom they know the best, okay? And who they think can help the most. Surveys have shown that, survey po ito, okay? Survey has shown that the adults to whom students of all ages are most likely to turn after the parents are teachers. For adult learners, for junior high school and senior high school, based on the survey, they found that they would rather confine in their teachers than their parents. And that's why there's a need for a teacher advisor program for schools because of this results of survey. Mas nagre-rely po. If we don't have TAP or teacher advisor program, thorough training for our teacher advisor, baka mangyari po sa mga bata ay mapunta sila sa ibang tao para mag-confide at hindi natin alam kung anong gagawin, baka gamitin lang sila or lokohin lang po sila. And this is the danger of not providing our students with our school with a teacher advisor program. Hindi lang, this is what I'm telling the school, sana hindi nyo gawin lang po na para lang magkaroon ng advisor. Okay, advisor ka. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Ako kasi pag ako as a consultant, sabi ko, pag lahat ng advice na dapat matrain. Yung ating guidance counselor, mag-schedule na agad, papaschedule na agad ng mga training para sa mga advisor. That's how it's done. Kailan sa private school po kasi hawak ko. Sa public school kasi, isipin naman sana ng division. It can be done by the division level or district level. Okay? It's therefore one very effective way of directly involving teachers in the development of guidance. On that note, since it becomes part of the curriculum, deloaded po ang teachers. Service credits of public schools, of course. And then, although they may lack a professional training of counselors, lacking ng training, school teachers have a long tradition of helping students with personal problems. They also interact with the students daily and thus are in an excellent position to provide personal direction. So, ito po ay aminin po natin na kahit po wala tayong training, pag may humingi ng tulong sa atin ng mga estudyante, tumutulong po tayo. So, with that compassion and eagerness of teachers to help students aside from their academic problems makes them good para guidance counselors. Or sige po, kung gusto niyong substitute. Pero ang tawag po natin para guidance counselors in the class. In fact, effective teachers share many of the same traits as effective counselors. Ability to empathize with students, patience and flexibility, excellent interpersonal skills, openness to new ideas, and awareness of individual differences. Dagdag lang ng mga training, may improve na po ang skills ng ating mga teachers. Finally, good teachers also habitually promote and sustain positive group interaction in their classes and develop a helping relationship with both students and parents. In all these ways, the teacher's role is closely allied to that of the counselor. The mere idea that our class advisors would want to help their students improve their academic progress and academic prowess, that alone is already the perspective of being a TAP, a teacher advisor program volunteer for the school. With that being said, I hope that my challenge is more for the school that we provide our advisors, our class advisors, with a thorough training and guidance counselor, and that we hire a licensed psychologist to help our class advisors fulfill their responsibilities to help our students. Otherwise, binigyan lang po natin sila ng responsibility para po siyang, ang ginawa po natin sa mga teachers natin ay tinapunan, pinatalon natin sa dagat na wala pong salbabida. It's either you swim or you sink. With that being said, thank you very much. So this would be my last topic for this week. And I hope to see you next week on our next series of webinars. And please do not hesitate to key in your comments and your suggestions of the topics that we can provide you next in the future so that we can research that for you. We would appreciate some of the struggles that you are facing right now. And this could be some of our sources of topics for the webinars that we can offer you in the future. I hope we can be partners on improving our webinars so that we could continue our services to you all teachers out there. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon to all of you.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, brother. And to all our Vibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Viva Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.